Namaste. I could not record from home today, so I am at Unity Yoga Room out here in Mount Juliet to use their space while it's empty. And sorry, this is the best I can do as far as where the arrangement is, because there's mirrors and there's partitions with a lot of light coming through. Hopefully this will turn out okay. I have to say today's the 21st because I'm recording a day early, and yesterday on inauguration day I woke up feeling a little nervous about what the day was going to hold. And I did sit and watch the inauguration for a couple hours yesterday, and I have to say it was probably late afternoon when a state of calm came over me. Just absolutely thrilled with the fact that it was just a peaceful day, you know. So what I want to mention today for our practice, or what our theme's going to be, is master your energy, master yourself. And I want you to relate this how all the way back to yoga and the history of yoga. So in the beginnings of yoga, the whole point of practicing meditation and breath work was to learn how to tame and train and to discipline the unruly mind, right? Because the mind can really get going. And they discovered that meditation was a great tool. Then they realized, okay, well, we can also apply this philosophy on how to live life. And that's where the yamas and the niyamas come in, like do not lie, do not steal, do no harm, practice cleanliness, practice devotion. Anyway, there's like 10 of them. And then when you look at that, you start to realize it's not just about mastering the mind, it's about mastering how we respond and react and behave in life, how we speak, you know, how we treat people, how we treat ourselves. And so it's about mastering the self. It's about mastering our energy. And then a little bit later in yogic history, then the body became an importance. So all about asanas and all about seeing how much not only you could free up the body in order to help to free up the mind, but it was also concerning mastering one's own health, mastering one's own physical ability. Right? So a lot of those contortionist or fancy poses, it's about, can you master your body? And then there's another component to it. If you look at the philosophy, it's about mastering the senses. Can we master the senses instead of allowing the senses to control us? Because the senses want to control the mind, right? But hey, I love chocolate, but if I ate chocolate all the time, every day, I would really be stacking on the pounds, right? So it's about, you know, this is also why a lot of swamis, and not all swamis are this way, but most swamis are, celibate, right? They don't practice sexual relations. Think about all the senses involved in sexual contact and intercourse. Like, there's a lot. So they, make this decision that they're going to devote all of their energy to their own spiritual growth and towards becoming more and more like God, like the divine, like creator. So we see that mastering energy and mastering the self is really a big part of yoga. And I want to remind you guys, a lot of people expected certain things to happen yesterday, and astrology is showing that we're going to be on this trajectory of change with challenge this entire year. So even though yesterday could have been a great beacon of hope for a lot of people, half of our population was very disheartened and very, depressed or angry because they had a certain narrative that they were rolling with, and it wasn't playing out the way they thought it would. And things aren't over yet. So even though I'm so grateful yesterday went so smoothly, or as smoothly as could be, given the situation, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the collective air. There's still a lot of questions and confusion in the collective energy that we're all participating in. A lot of people are still trying to figure out what just happened, what's about to happen. Is anything going to happen? A lot of people are still, questioning and trying to find information. And a lot of the information that we start to seek, we really don't know if it's valid or factual or misinformation or diluted information or exaggerated information. So we have to err with caution on how far down, like I said, either way, because it's all being manipulated right now to a degree. So we have to be critical thinkers. And so what I want you to realize is if we really want to master our energy and master ourselves and not be so immersed in the narratives outside of us, let's just control the narrative inside of us. Let's find our truth instead of chasing what someone else is saying is truth. And there's several tips for doing this. Just noticing when you're really running rampant in your mind and using the tools to try to slow it down. Remembering even our nervous system can get anxious or off kilter, and to realize and to recognize when that happens. For instance, this is a weird kind of example, but I grew up a preacher's daughter, and we were not allowed to cuss. We were not allowed to say gee or golly, or we couldn't even say God unless we were in church talking about God. We couldn't say, oh my God. We couldn't say things like crap or, words that, are kind of like the borderline words. And obviously, once I became an adult and once I left the house and wasn't so indoctrinated and being around a lot of people who do curse, I started picking it up. And then I had a child, I had a baby, and I quit. I would not cuss around him. And just recently, he's turned 13. And man, it's just, and he's like, Mom, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm sorry, you're just older. And I'm so much more comfortable around you now. And I don't know why it's happening. And then Rob and I watched this documentary on Netflix, and it was some silly documentary. We only watched the first episode, and it was talking about cuss words. And it definitely, at some point in there, talked about when we hear or say a curse word, what it does to the nervous system. That our heart rate speeds up, our respiratory rate changes. And I thought that was really interesting because just this year, Rob cusses more than I do. And there, on occasion, I've personally noticed when we're together in the house and he'll say something, it sometimes jars me a little bit. And I'm not offended by it, but I have noticed there is an effect energetically inside my body. And so we do know that those words have a lower vibration. And, or maybe it's just what's been associated with it. I don't know. But there is a definite shift in the energy. So as yogis, when we get more and more sensitive to this, please become aware. You have tools. You can do things to get out of your head. You can do things to calm your nervous system down. You can practice mindfulness and more meditation so that your awareness is expanding, so that you will notice these little subtle changes. It's really important to try to lessen any triggers, and that can come a lot through social media. I have learned not to type right away, not to react right away. If something triggers me now, I'm actually in that mode of observing it. And I'm also just currently in the mode of really thinking about something before I put it out, because what's my energy right now? I'm an Aries, I'm a redhead, and I can really like just blurt it out. And so now I'm, taking a little time with it before I just throw it out into the world. And that's just one small way. And I'm just saying that because we're all at home and we, have access to that almost daily. All right, so let's go ahead and practice. Get on your mat. And we're going to start in crocodile pose. I'm going to turn this way. So the passive crocodile pose is when your feet are fanned out and you can cross your arms in front of you and bow your head. There should be a tunnel beneath the face and making it available for you to breathe easily. Start your diaphragmatic breathing. Feeling your belly balloon in and out. Softening your jaw, your teeth, your tongue, your lips, and the areas surrounding your eyes and in between. As we control the breath, we are controlling and manipulating our energy. So breathe with depth and control. Diaphragmatic breathing can be calming and relaxing to the mind and to the nervous system. Take 3 more on your own. Inhale, slowly lift the head up, and you're gonna turn to your side body. Now I have my left leg on top, and you can do one of 2 things. So to advance this pose, we're gonna be going into anatasana. You can have your body in more or less a straight line. You could even line yourself up on the edge of your mat to make sure that you're in a straight line. If you have trouble with balance, you're going to angle the feet more forward towards the opposite corner or side of your mat, and that'll help. And then take the free hand, your left hand in front of your chest, and slowly begin to point the left toes and sail the legs skyward. Root and ground down through your right side body, and if this strains your neck to keep your head up, you can always lower it down like this. Now you are more than welcome to keep the legs suspended in the air like so. You can also use a strap or a belt, a necktie, something to wrap around the foot and then hold with your hand. And if you don't have a tool available like that, it's okay to just hold your calf. Hold the back of your thigh. You might even be able to wrap the peace mudra around the big toe. And then you'll find your edge of flexibility wherever that is. Anatasana pose is dedicated to the god Vishnu, who is the god of preserving. So Vishnu is like the Holy Spirit in the Christian idea of the Trinity. Vishnu is sometimes depicted lounging on a couch at the bottom of the sea. He's kind of like the Poseidon of Greek mythology. We're just holding and breathing. By the way, we're doing more of a yin type practice. Yin is very grounding. So since we were talking about things that can help us to drop in, ground down, that will help us to level up. One more deep breath. Now, release your hand, bring it to the floor, and just slowly and casually draw that leg down to the left side of your mat. Roll to your belly, and you're going to take your left arm ahead of you and your right arm to your right side and turn to one or the other cheek. A prone 4-point star. Feel as though you're hugging Mother Earth. Practice your diaphragmatic breathing here, since you have such close contact to the floor. The studio is next to a busy road, so you may be hearing some traffic, but see if you can hear or feel any vibration stemming from the ground, the floor of your house or office. See if you can sense the beating and thumping of your own heart. Then bend your left knee. And then inhale, slowly begin to walk your arms in, stack them into the Sphinx formation. Your right leg is like a frog leg version. And you can press and root through the elbows and lift up through the crown of your head. Lift the neck up out of the shoulders. A blended pose, opening the heart and the hip. The eyes can be open or closed. And if this is hurtful at all for your low back, maybe try walking the elbows out in front of you and then resting your head into prayer hands. Maybe even affirming as you hold, I am master of my energy. I am master of myself. Master of my energy, I am master of myself. Controlling what we can, whether it's our thoughts, our reactions, our words, or behaviors. On your next inhale, stretch the left leg back. Exhale, roll down to your chest. Now you can just roll to the other side if you'd like. I'm going to spin around so that I'm facing you. And again, your head can be up or lowered. Your body can be in a straight line or the feet angled forward, okay? Slowly lift the right leg up. And just tune in to your left side body. Try to give it a little bit more landing. See if you can maybe even grip in your belly a little bit for balance. Hand, again, can hold the thigh, the calf, or wrap around the big toe. And you can also use an apparatus to connect the hand and the foot together. Hold and breathe. Sustaining and preserving this posture so you can have a real experience in it. What can you practice mastering here? Bring the right hand down and stay as much in control as possible as you lower this leg. Once it touches down, slide it out so you can roll to your belly. Right arm forward, left arm to your left side. Hold and breathe. It's hard not to feel connected to the earth in this type of position. Now exhale, bend your right knee. Inhale, slowly shift up to a Sphinx form with your arms. Remember, a good alternative, because my left hip and low back gives me a little grief sometimes, and it wasn't a problem on the previous side, but I'm just thinking this is so much easier for me than the previous side. So if this is your more hardened hip, so to speak, feel free to sink down lower. Either way, propping yourself up, affirming to yourself, I am master of my energy. I am master of myself. Inhale, we're going to take the right leg back. And we're going to keep the hands out in front of us, but we're going to prop up on the stilts of the arms. Instead of having the legs parallel or close to each other, feel how, you can experiment, feel how that kind of grips your low back. And this is supposed to be a yin pose, more passive. If you separate your feet, you might not get that impingement. And this is seal pose. If seal pose is too much compression in your lumbar area, then come up to upward facing dog instead. or cobra. Slide the hands back. Inhale, press up. Separate your knees, but keep the big toes touching. And you're gonna thread your left arm under the right, shoelace that arm, and then lift your right arm up and thread it behind your back. And then surrender back down. The eyes can be open or closed. Come back to your breath. Feel free to recite the affirmation, I am master of my energy. I am master of myself. I also chose some of these yin postures because they open up so many of the main energetic channels in the body. So we're going to move on, but I know some of these poses you could probably stay in much longer. I just want to be respectful of, everyone. So let's go ahead and drop the right hand down, slowly come up. So feel free to pause the video if you want to hang out in the poses longer. Right arm's going to thread beneath. Left arm is going to loop behind the back. Breathe into that connective tissue. That's really being worked here. That fascia holds and carries information with it. It's much more important than scientists and doctors previously thought. There's a great book out there called The Architecture, I believe, of Fascia, if you want to check it out. release the left hand. Inhale, unthread the right arm. Close those knees more together. Slide your hands out. Curl the toes under. Launch up and back to down dog. We're not staying in down dog. We're going to travel the hands back towards the toes. And we're going to hang down, but with the knees bent. Okay? Hang like a rag doll. You can always cross your arms as well. Remember, this is meant to be a more passive pose. So loosen your neck. Loosen your shoulders. You can even do cleansing breaths here where you're breathing in through the nose and audibly sighing out through the mouth. Inhale, we're going to walk the hands down the mat. Sink back to the knees, untuck the toes, and we're going to inhale, move to cow tilt, and then exhale to catch stretch. Inhale, cow tilt. And this time when we exhale to catch stretch, hold it for an extra breath. And then inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Hold cat, an extra breath. Piercing that navel in. Hiding the heart away into the concave of the chest. Inhale, cow tilt. Exhale, cat stretch. Hold cat stretch, an extra breath. This is going to be relative for a pose we're doing later. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Hold an extra breath. And then inhale, table. Exhale, thread your left arm under the right. And have your right hand in front of your face and lightly press into it so that you feel the right shoulder roll back, taking more of a twist. Inhale, table. Exhale, other side. This stays active, so this will be more yang. Right arm threads under, left hand in front of the face, and roll. Roll a little bit more towards the right scapula. Most importantly, breathe into the backside of your lungs. Inhale, unwind. Now, you may or may not not be able to sit back on your heels, and I understand if you can't. So if you cannot, for whatever reason with your knees or ankles, just do it this way, standing Vajrasana. We're gonna lace the hands behind the back, and the shoulders are gonna roll back, and the chest is gonna open up. All right, so if your shoulders can't roll back and create the proper action, you could use the necktie, the yoga strap, the belt to hold in between your hands, keeping them shoulder distance apart, and then you would be able to crank the shoulders back and stretch the arms back. Okay, so try one or the other. And exhale. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. All right, so the affirmation we've been using, I am master of my energy, I am master of myself, actually is an Ananda affirmation for the hair pose, Sasangasana. So before we go into the hair pose, we're going to bring the hands more or less alongside the knees. When we bring the head down, we're going to be resting more at the third eye area. And you're kind of like scrunching in the belly a little bit to get to that point. Almost like child's pose like this, except your hands are placed here. And that way when you inhale, you're lifting your hips, rolling over the top of the head. And as you exhale, you're rolling back. Similar to child's. All right, do that several times. Inhale, lifting and rolling forward. Exhaling back. Continue that a few more rounds. There's tons of marma or acupressure points on the head. This is a good stimulus for them. It's a nice little scalp massage, and it is said to help with hair follicles as well as preventing certain types of headaches, okay? All right, that's also a great prep for Sasangasana. So go ahead and begin to sit back up. And again, I realize you may not be able to sit back on your heels this way, but you may still be able to go into Sasangasana, keeping your hands here and basically doing this. I'll go ahead and show you that modification. If you can sit towards your heels, I want you to try doing it the more traditional way, which is gripping a hold of your heels. Bring it, you're kind of curling in a little bit to bring the forehead fairly close to the knees, resting more at the hairline. So that when you inhale, elevate your hips, your arms straighten, and you're kind of puffing into your shoulder blades, very similar to cat stretch, and your navel is piercing in and up towards the spine. And you want just barely little weight on your head. More weight, of course, is going to be on your shins and feet. And that requires the action in the belly and the action through the upper back. And now affirm mentally to yourself, I am master of my energy. I am master of myself. I am master of my energy. I am master of myself. Exhale, release. This time release to child's pose. So it could be this child's pose, arms wrapped around you, resting on the brow, third eye. Or you can choose extended form with your arms outstretched. So we're going to do one more. Stay in child's pose. Affirming within, I am master of my energy. I am master of myself. We're going to end with something that I have seen referenced as, sorry, I got hair in my mouth, yoga mudra. And I believe I read is from the Kripalu yoga lineage. And so it looks very similar to Sasangasana, except the hands are interlaced behind the back. So we interlace the hands, we roll the shoulders back. Of course, if you need that strap, you know, in between the hands to keep them shoulder distance apart, that's fine. But as we start to lift the hips, we pull the belly in and we come down to rest on the crown of the head. Keep jutting the knuckles up to the heavens. Shoulders pull up and away from the face. Take deep breaths. Inhale, coming back up. When you come back up, let's come down to a seat. And let's bring our legs into Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together, knees open. Right, if this isn't comfortable for you, maybe straighten your left leg and just do a singular side. Sometimes that's helpful. Otherwise, inhale, lift up, and exhale, we're gonna twist and rotate to the right. So let the right hand drop to the floor behind your back. Let the left hand cross over to the right knee. And if that's too much to cross over your midline, you can always just let it hang down in the middle, towards your lap, or holding your shin. Exhale, unwind. If you were doing a singular side, you can straighten your right leg. Otherwise, you can stay in bound angle. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, twist and rotate to your left. Channel the breath up and down the spine. Because really we're trying to ignite the astral spine. I had some energy work the other day, and you know, we're evolving, we're ascending into a different dimension, or at least that's what I believe. I believe we're going from 3 to 4 to 5D. And so the energy worker I was with, I said, is it true that as we ascend and as we switch dimensions that the chakras will be irrelevant? And she said no. She was like, we'll still have chakras, you know, we're still, and it makes sense because we're still energetic bodies, we're still light bodies. But she said what she's been observing with the people that are, you know, already, you know, proceeding through that process is the colors are changing. And it's turning more of a white or golden light. And I thought that was beautiful. One more deep breath. Exhale, unwind. And since this may be a little challenging for the hips, come to a comfortable cross-legged position, however that translates to you. And just sit and breathe. So I want you to pay attention to what you're feeling around your belly and your low back, as well as your hips and inner thighs. Because if it's already dragging you down, if it's already starting to feel a little pained, please feel free to sit up in a chair on the couch. You can even scoot to a wall and have your legs straight, just so you have back support. Or you can elevate, I'm gonna stay here because this is actually comfortable. Or you can, of course, grab a toss pillow, a bolster, a meditation cushion to sit on. As long as the spine is more vertical. Elevating your heart, maintaining some nice posture so that the energy can free flow up and down the trunk. Maybe even try to imagine your astral spine. Basically a column of light forward of your physical spine. You could even consider it running up the spine itself, but more within the spinal column with the nervous system. As you're breathing that white light up and down the astral spine, let it be electric. Let it be a little flashy. Maybe iridescent. Maybe like a smoky quartz crystal. See what you envision. And the power of your mind may transform it to something else completely. Just stay present in the here and now. And continue to control and master your breath for a moment. And now that we have been learning how to master the breath, we're going to let the control subside. And we're just going to simply bear witness. We're going to just be an observer, watching the breath come and go. Not trying to change it or fix it, just watching it. The same thing with any thoughts that come to the mind or any feelings that flutter in the heart, any instincts you may feel in your gut. Can you just watch? Not responding or reacting, whether it's good or bad, frightening or entertaining. Can we just be? Controlling our energy and mastering our energy and mastering ourselves and our focus and our concentration for the next couple of minutes in silence. energy. I am master of myself. If you have really taken the time to drop in, to ground down, I would advise you to pause this video and to stay in meditation longer. That way, we have an opportunity to level up. Namaste.